We're back. We're doing a podcast. I almost slipped. We are going on a little offsite, Q4 offsite in a little bit, somewhere, undisclosed location.
There's a little hint. You can tell by my flannel shirt where we're going. Yeah, heavy flannel shirt.
I'll be sleeping in a twin bed in Vermont tonight.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, so this episode of Seeking Wisdom, we have a topic from a listener.
Okay, who's the listener?
Okay, listener is Corey. Shout out to you, Corey. He sent you a message and said, "Morning, David. I know you're swamped, but I have a quick question. You're known as someone who has conducted and put forth amazing one-on-ones." I wouldn't call him Corey. I wouldn't call him amazing.
But that's stick to what he wrote.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're okay. I'll be leading a sales team in the next 2 to 3 months, and I'm trying to come up with a great format for sales one-on-ones. Anything you've used in the past which has worked. About 2 minutes after Corey sent that, I got a screenshot of it from UDC and said, let's do a Seeking Wisdom on this topic. And first of all, shout out to you, Corey. I love this. He's not managing a team yet, but he's thinking about managing a team and getting ready for that.
He's a planner. I like it.
I love that. There's so much that we've talked about with one-on-ones, but we rehash a lot of it. Early days of Drift, you wrote a wiki post, which I should have pulled up for this, which is about one-on-ones. But you do have a religion around one-on-ones.
Yeah, I definitely have a religion. I was having a meeting with Carrie on the team today, who runs learning and development here at Drift. Shout out, Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
And she came from Zappos and Amazon and doing all sorts of leadership stuff there. And we were working on a set of new kind of what we call management principles. We have leadership principles here. We're working on management principles. Oh. And in that management principles, one of the things that we spent a lot of time talking about was one-on-ones and the importance of the one-on-one. Because she was asking what's one thing that I would tell the current managers here to do better? To stop, either to stop doing or continue doing.
She asked you what you would say.
Yeah, okay. And I said one-on-ones. I don't think all the teams are yet consistent enough for one-on-ones. And I think we should have a minimum of having one-on-ones every 2 weeks, so bi-weekly. But we should always be striving to have a one-on weekly.
Yes. And
the reason that I said that to her was like, I don't know how you can be managing a team or a person if you don't have a regular cadence of one-on-ones where you're communicating with them, because I don't understand how that could work.
Yes.
And I think that's an area that's important. But for me, one-on-ones have always been super important. They almost go back to the notion of do the things that don't scale. And one-on-ones are one of those things that we typically look at in business and we think, well, that can't scale. That only works when you're small. And so that's one of the first things that we give up, and we replace it with some sort of process. And then we lose a lot because we don't know if someone's motivated. We don't know if someone's running into problems. We don't really know what's happening with the person on the team. And on the flip side, they don't have someone that's invested in their growth, that's trying to help them get to the next level, that understands the roadblocks and difficulties that they may be having without the one-on-ones.
Yes. Can you give the breakdown? Because you do weekly one-on-ones with your direct reports.
Yeah.
But then you do monthly one-on-ones with other people on the team.
Yeah. So here at Drift, we're like 20 something people at this point. I do weekly one-on-ones with my direct reports, and now those one-on-ones, we'll go into format in a little bit, but mine can be walking.
Yep.
So go grab a coffee really quick. They can be, I've done them on the phone, so over video we've done them, or just over the phone. We've done them over WhatsApp, or they could be, in a room like this. But more typically, we're doing something, right? And then we're talking at the same time. And so I wanted to point that out because often people think the one-on-one is like highly structured, highly like we have to sit in a room for half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour in some cases, and ask a lot of questions. It's more of a check. Yeah. So I do that every week. And then I kind of do like the skip level thing where I have one-on-ones every month with people who don't report directly to me, but might be the next level or the level or some level, in the company. And I have one-on-ones with them. And then I have kind of, typically I haven't had too many of them recently, like this open office hours thing where I'll just have one-on-ones randomly with different people in the company. But that's my cadence for doing it. How often are you doing one-on-ones?
So now we recently grew the marketing team a bunch. And so for a while we had 10, 11 people on the team, and I was doing weekly one-on-ones with everybody, which was a lesson in actually that didn't scale.
Nope.
And then that meant that I was spending 90% of my time in one-on-ones, which is not fair. It's not really about me. It's not fair to the team because I'm not ever really paying full attention to those. Now, though, we recently have hired a bunch of people on the team, and so I actually now have gone from having 10 direct reports to 4. And now, which is your big push, so shout out to you. And now I'll do weekly one-on-ones with the 4 people that are direct reports, and then I'm going to try to do bi-weekly one-on-ones with everybody else on the team because I think that's, at this point in time, it's realistic for me to be able to do that. And then so the skip level for me will be bi-weekly until that has to go
until
monthly.
monthly. Yeah. And so, I think a rule that we try to live by or heuristic is to not have more than 8 people that you have to have one-on-ones with, so not more than 8 direct reports.
Yeah.
Ideally, you're closer to where you are, like 5, 6.
Yeah, even 8. I know a lot. I know the advice is 6 to 8. We've had a lot of conversations about this, but like 6 to 8 is still a lot.
Yeah.
You know, because there's 5 days in a week, and you're going to spend 30 minutes with. So if you do one-on-one a day, that's 5. That's every day of the week. One of those days you're gonna have to double up. That's 6, right? And so you're already spending a good chunk of your week doing that.
Yeah. And it's not. I like what you brought up, which is like something I talked about with Carrie as well. Is like, look, the one-on-ones, you as a manager, when you manage people, like you have to see that as a duty, and as you're there to serve that group of people, and you're not properly serving them if, 1, you're not having one-on-ones, and then 2, if you're not giving yourself enough time to actually take action based on the feedback that you're hearing and help them, right? So like the one-on-one is just the listening part. You're not actually doing anything. No. You're just listening.
It's the listening and the roadblock removing part of management. I think it's like, hey, I'm stuck on this problem. Like I'll talk about my one-on-ones with you, for example. I usually use them in 2 different ways. Number one is
he has a notebook.
I have a notebook. It's not this notebook, which is my little scratch pad, but it's in Evernote. And this is actually a little hack that I want to teach to more people because it's been really helpful for me. So in Evernote, and this could be Evernote, paper, whatever, I have a notebook for each one of the people, each one of my direct reports or the people that I report to. So in my case, I have the 4 direct reports and then a notebook for you. And
geez, my notebook.
No, it's not, it's good. And so in that notebook, no, but this is important. I put stuff in that notebook that I want to talk to you about that is not urgent for today. Because I think in the world that we live in with Slack and email and WhatsApp,
I love this.
There's so many things that don't need attention right now. And so, for example, I need to talk to DC. I'm making this up. I need to talk to DC about hiring for this role, or I need to talk to DC about our event strategy for 2019. That's not something that I'm going to just message him over Slack and share. I want to get him in a room and I want to have that conversation. It's not urgent for today, so I put it in that file. This is actually, if you go all the way back and read one of the best books, The High Output Management by Andy Grove.
Yep.
He talks about at Intel having folders. This was a physical manila folder on
You know what?
desk.
I think I'm going to go to folders soon.
You're going to go to folders?
Well, that's a different
Okay,
topic.
in addition to my calendar.
Yeah.
And you put notes in there that's not urgent, but some of you can file away for later. And then also that makes me more prepared for my one-on-one, because ultimately my one-on-one with you is my meeting. If I have no agenda, we just kind of walk around and shoot the shit, which is sometimes good, right?
Yeah.
But or we cancel it because I don't need it. But I usually go to that meeting with, I got 3 specific things I want to ask you
and you
about.
do cancel one-on-ones sometimes. Yep.
Because it's not you, and so maybe sometimes you, and then sometimes you need to check in on me, so you do like, hey, you want to go for a walk, right?
Yep.
But that's usually my pattern, and that's helped me because I think so much of management and even having a manager is, I gotta talk to my manager about this thing, and it's crazy to just message that person ping 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 all day with specific stuff that need action. Where put it away and talk about it at your next one-on-one. Now it's filed away. I don't have to think about it.
That's a discipline that I wish I had.
What?
I don't have that discipline of filing stuff away.
Yeah.
I'm the ping, 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 ping.
But it's different though. That is like, it's different. Your role, you're a CEO. Like that is you get paid to come up with ideas and make sure the company is going to run on time and get the right things done. And so you can do that. My position leading marketing is, I have to be able to take all the crazy stuff that you have and actually digest that and turn it into plays and output for the company. And so that just thing is a difference in roles. The other thing is, love the walks. I think our walks are the best one-on-ones. I agree with that with a team, because you get somebody to open up. And it's okay, you can bring your notebook, you can bring your phone to look at your stuff, but it's harder to have a conversation when you're sitting across the table and it's very sturdy and you're sitting in this meeting room. And so I always try to go for a walk, get a juice or something or coffee. But if I have something that I need to like draw out for you
Yeah,
or
we'll
show,
do the whiteboard.
then now, hey, and so, hey, where are we going? Or you always say, are we going for a walk or what do you want to do? No, I want to stay here because I want to draw something out for you. And that's when we get the whiteboard. And for me, that's a meeting where I know I have to get an answer, but I need your help getting there.
Yep.
And so that's why I want to either sit down and present to you something or draw something out and we get there together.
Yeah, and the thing that that I always advise against, which came up the other day with Eli, who's on the team, is not to turn it into interrogation. So if you're the manager, don't bring the laptop or don't look like you're writing down every single word that someone's saying, because it turns and that's why I prefer the walk as the default, because it turns something that's supposed to be a conversation into an interrogation, and people start to get nervous when you're typing during the whole thing and typing every single word that they're saying. Right? They feel like you're building a dossier on them.
Your guard is that's so true. Your guard is just different. If you let it down and go for a walk, it puts everybody kind of on this level playing field. And also, you don't have to make, like, some conversations are hard, and you can go for a walk and have the conversation as opposed to having to sit directly across the table from each other and
eye
stare
contact.
and go, so here's what we're going to do, right? I think the notes thing is really important. I don't take notes during the one-on-one. I have a little scratch pad or type a note in my phone. If like I had a one-on-one with Gail today and she said, hey, can you do this? I need you to do this. I need you to do this. So I wrote those two things down. That's not me taking notes on what she said.
But she asked you to do something.
She asked me to do something. And I think you can also remember the bigger themes of what keeps coming up in the one-on-one. The other thing about one-on-ones that I didn't realize until later and having a bigger team now is one-on-ones, you can actually learn more about other people on the team that you're not having one-on-ones with.
Yes.
This person is a problem because let's say you have one-on-ones with all your direct reports and they all mention one thing about this one person. Then you start to hear stuff that you wouldn't hear otherwise.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why I also do the skip ones. So you start to hear, even though I'm doing from a percentage basis, a small percentage of the company that I'm talking to, like everyone is mentioning projects that they're working with other people and dependencies, and you start to hear themes.
Yes.
Also, the other theme that you usually hear in the one-on-one, which you made me think about, is that often someone might bring up something once, and so you walk through it. And then if you keep having one-on-ones with the person, you might notice that they keep bringing up certain themes as like, that they're not making a big deal out of them, but they keep bringing certain issues up, and they keeps resurfacing, and that's when you know to double click on those issues.
And I think that usually happens about people, like issues on the team that people are working with that they're not happy with, or raises or promotions, right? It starts to you hear seeds of it.
Yes.
The other thing it does, but before we wrap up, is it teaches you about you and your holes and flaws, I think, as a manager. Because if I go on 4 different one-on-ones and I realize that they're all saying something that really leads to me to believe like, oh man, I'm clearly not doing a good enough job communicating, because I heard from 3 people that they didn't have clarity on this thing. That's a pattern, as opposed to you hear from one person, you don't really internalize that and think like, oh, is this me, or what do I need to do?
Totally. And so for Corey, I would say the first thing is make sure that you have your one-on-ones regularly.
Yes.
Right? So whatever your cadence is, ideally you're striving for weekly, but worst case you have them every 2 weeks. That's fine. 2 is make them an active kind of thing. Make it a walk, make it a session at the whiteboard, make it something that is less an interrogation in a room.
Yes.
And then 3rd, but most important, make this the person who's having the one-on-one, make them own the agenda for the one-on-one.
Huge.
And that's what DG said there, which when we have a one-on-one together, he has notes and he has an agenda that he's bringing. I don't typically have an agenda. I'm just there to listen and try to remove roadblocks, but like he has an agenda that he's bringing forth.
Yeah, and I think if you're a new manager, go out there and have a one-on-one and say, hey, I have nothing.
Yeah.
I'm walking with you. This is your meeting. What's up?
Yeah. What do you want?
And be okay with it. You got to you embrace the silence a little bit, right? People talk more if you let them.
Yes.
Be silent. Let it come out, right? There's the easiest way to get somebody talking is to walk 200 yards without saying a word.
Yeah.
Someone's going to say something.
Let them talk.
Yes.
Amazing. So good news. I've been seeing some 6-star reviews come through.
Was it because people left reviews or you fixed the thing?
No, people left reviews.
Okay.
So I've seen a good number of little reviews coming through there. Not little, great reviews.
Great reviews.
6-star review only on there.
Yes.
So we're getting closer to being ready to unleash some of the other shows that we have in the backlog, because we're finally starting to see some positive reinforcement.
And we just re-upped exceptions for seasons 2 and 3.
Oh, exceptions. So the exception show on Seeking Wisdom with your friend Jay.
Shout out Jay.
Jay just released a book.
He did.
Yeah, we'll be getting copies of it.
Break
coming.
the wheel.
Break the wheel. It's out there on Amazon. I believe you can order it or pre-order. I think you can order it now.
Yeah.
I think it's official. So go check out Break the Wheel by Jay Akunzo, who hosts Exceptions here. And I got excited about Build because Maggie has some heat coming there.
Maggie's
So
awesome
Jay is coming back for 2 more seasons of Exceptions and it's going to get hot.
Yep. So cross it off the list. Corey, we got you on One-on-Ones. We got a lot of stuff on the way.
Yeah. And one last thing.
What?
PPS.
Yes.
If you happen to be a B2B marketer, DG has created this thing, which is, it's not a drift thing, and it's not a seeking wisdom thing, but he's created this B2B marketing mastermind group. I think that's what you call it on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so how would people get on that list?
So go to, actually, you have to go to LinkedIn. You have to comment on the post.
Okay.
Which this video has now been viewed 181,000 times, and 1,900 marketers have commented on this.
1,900?
Yeah. Somewhere lost in the LinkedIn algorithm. So,
okay.
Actually, you don't even have to comment on the post. The easiest way to get access now is email me directly, dg@drift.com.
Mm-hmm.
We're launching this B2B marketing mastermind group because every
and
time.
what is it?
It's a Facebook group, but what I realize is every time I go out and meet with a ton of marketers, that is my favorite thing in the world. Last night we did an event, and I sat around at a table with 5 marketers, and we just asked each other questions for like 2 hours. And that's the stuff that I love. That's where you get the real stuff. What are you doing for PR? What are you doing for events? What about product marketing? Hey, how did you hire for this thing?
Yeah.
That's the real money stuff.
Yeah.
The only problem is I hate going out.
Yes.
I don't like being out at night. I don't like doing stuff. And I was like, how do we scale this without having to do it all the time? So we're gonna have this group.
Yeah.
The group is gonna be highly moderated and curated. So it's not gonna be a lot of
not
crap
everyone
in
gets
the
in.
group. Not everyone gets in. You have to be in B2B marketing. You have to be really doing something.
Yeah.
And also, I think having that in Facebook, there's gonna be a lot of really cool stuff we can do with interviews, with Facebook Live, with having people participate. So I'm super excited about the group.
All right. So email dg@drift.com if you want to be part of that.
Sure.
Send your LinkedIn profile over there because this is highly curated stuff here, invite only. All right.
See ya.
6 stars only. Bye.